Welcome to our very special episode of The Objective, your weekly source for explorations into rationality, logic, and critical thinking. If you're new to the show, we want to say welcome. We hope you enjoy our educational and informative take on critical thought and rationality. And if you're an old hat and you've seen us several times before, welcome back. And really, whomever you are, we hope you enjoy, we hope you like the show, and we hope to earn your subscription, which you can do by clicking the button somewhere down here, and it will let you know every time we have a new episode, which is every week. All right, on to the content. In today's episode, we're going to focus on this story right here, which you might have already seen. For those of you who are watching this in the future, it is the week of President's Day in the year 2020, and this story right here was making its way through all the rounds on the social medias. And what is it? It's a story of a man from Kentucky who fought the man, and so far at least, has won. And what really happened was he was denied a license plate that said, "I am God," I-A-M-G-O-D, on the grounds that it was vulgar. That's what the state of Kentucky wrote back in the letter. It was vulgar, they couldn't give him the license plate. Now, this case was all about the First Amendment and freedom of speech, but we thought it would make a really great first example for a new show style that we wanted to try, which is applying logical experiments and scientific rigor to real-world examples. And that's what we're going to do with this story today. Now, Mr. Hart, because that's who this is a story about, Ben Hart, Mr. Hart is making a fuss because he wanted to start a conversation about our rights. But we think there's two conversations with this story to be had. The second being on what is right, what is true. So Mr. Hart, challenge accepted. Now, no matter the field, whether it's journalism, science, history, and yes, religion, in order to prove something is objectively true, we must attempt to prove that it's not true. That's just the basic of how to find objective truth. And if you're a regular watcher of the show, you know that because we mention it just about every episode. But we don't know what we're proving yet, right? So, task one, define God. I hope you're like, I mean, this is what humanity has been trying to do for centuries, millennia, but okay. So task one, define God. Task two, try to prove Mr. Hart does not meet that definition of God. And task three, decide whether or not he's God. That's basically, it's a really loose renaming of the scientific method, but that's basically the scientific method, which is our foundation for this exercise and for all the exercises that we want to try in this new format. So, task one, define God. This is how Mr. Hart started as well. His justification for why he's God is also based on a definition. So let's start with his description from his own words.
I can prove I'm God, and you can't prove I'm not. Now, how can I prove I'm God? Well, there are 6 definitions for God in the American Heritage Dictionary, and number 5 is a very handsome man. And my wife says I'm a very handsome man, and ain't nobody argues with my wife.
Mr. Hart says that because his wife says he's attractive, he fits that definition, which makes him a god. So we'll start with that. In the current version of the American Heritage Dictionary, we didn't see Mr. Hart's definition, but we'll add it just to be fair. So, can we disprove the first definition? Yes, I think we can. Because, while Mr. Hart may very well have been a gorgeous man at one point, presently, there are at least 2 humans I know of that think he's not a gorgeous human. And since a god would presumably require unanimous support from everybody around him, I think we can cross that definition out. I think we can show that we have disproven that he is a god using that definition. So now we need to go to the other definitions. Now the next definition we have is someone who is worshipped, followed, or idolized. And this seems to be more of a god rather than the god. Well, Mr. Hart claims that he is God. His license plate says, "I am God," not "I am a God." And given the religious background of this country, the United States of America, and given the fact that there is only one widely accepted, singular, monotheistic God out there, and that's the God of Abraham, who serves as the God for Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, same God. Since there's only one of those 3 religions, then it's very safe to assume that he is claiming to be the God of Abraham, the great I Am, the God from the Bible, the Torah, and the Quran. And that helps us break it on down some more. If that's the case, then this is the definition we want. This is the only one that applies. And that is being conceived as the perfect, omnipotent, omniscient originator and ruler of the universe, the principal object of faith and worship in monotheistic religions. So that would be presumably who he is claiming to be. So that's step one. So now that we've got it narrowed down, we can move on to task number 2. Prove that Mr. Hart doesn't meet this definition. Now, truth be told, we can't. This is why one must always have faith when it comes to religion, because it is unprovable. Not me, not you, not anyone that any of us know can definitively prove that Mr. Hart is or is not a god. We cannot definitively prove that he is omnipotent, perfect, or omniscient. So, where do you go from there? Well, we don't. Or we do? A scientist would keep trying. They would keep trying to disprove in order to prove, which is what scientists have been doing for millennia, since the existence of society, since the beginning of man clanking rocks together. We tried something, and it didn't work, and so we put it down, and we waited for more data, new techniques, new strategies, things to evolve and change, and then we kept trying. What we didn't do was just take good enough for an answer. What we didn't do was just say, it kind of fits. No, scientists in their various forms have been waiting and trying and pushing on things forever and getting to that point of certainty. Now, what would a scientist do in this situation? Well, they would look at every single action that Mr. Hart has done and would test every single one of these actions for its perfection, omnipresence, or omniscience. That's what they would do. They would look at every single thing and they would test those things and decide whether or not he is God. This way we'd know for certain whether or not we had the real God. But realistically, we can't do that. So what do we do instead? What do science and rationality and logic do instead? They leave it open, to be determined, not enough data to compute. That's where they leave it. They don't keep pushing if there's nothing left to push. They sit and they wait. It's one of the first things that science teaches us, is that humility, that necessity to be humble, to admit when we don't have everything we need in order to prove this, and we can't accept half measures. So we just need to wait until better data or science or technology comes along. And so that's what we're going to have to do here, is we're going to have to wait on deciding whether or not Mr. Hart is God. So task 3, we're not going to be able to complete. And that's okay, because there are lots of scientists who left task 3 incomplete for days and weeks and months and years and even well past their natural lifetimes. There are some task 3s that are still not complete to this day. Who are we? Where do we come from? Right? These big questions, these are task 3. Science has said, we're not ready to make a decision on that yet. There's not enough data to compute. Just a little while longer until the data or the science comes along. And until then, on whether or not Mr. Hart is God, is the great I am, is Yahweh, I guess we'll have to have a little faith. Okay, thanks everybody for watching our show. We really hope you enjoyed it. We hope you liked it. And we hope to hear what you want us to do. I'm really excited actually about this new style of going, where every episode will be an experiment. Every episode will be something new and exploring. Instead of just me talking, it will be an exploration, an experiment of our own. So if you have ideas for experiments or for logical exercises that we can do, or maybe there's a story you saw and you want to say, hey, is this true? Tell me how to see if this is true or not. Show it to us. Let us know. Leave it on our Facebook. Leave a comment. Direct message. Whatever works best. All right. Thanks, everybody. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope you have a great week. And as always, be kind to yourself and the people around you. All right. Bye, everybody.